Story time!
It was the year 2002. My mom had just got out of prison. She was over there in Grants. She came to live with us at our grandparents' house, which was her mom and dad, and they let us live in the shed, me, her, and my brother JP. Now this was literally a shed. All it fit was our bed, and it had shelves and shit. My mom put blankets on all the walls to cover all the shelves so they look kind of like walls. We had a bed, a radio. I think we had a little TV, if I'm not mistaken, and that was it. I had 2 CDs, Tupac's Greatest Hits and Bone Thugs' Greatest Hits. That was all. So my grandparents lived right there in the barrio off of Alto, next to the Boys Club, on Maynard, on the corner of Maynard and Don Felix, 717 Don Felix to be exact. So I grew up in the 700 block pretty much. Well, when my mom came home, she was doing good at first. She had gotten a Honda. Well, my grandpa got her a Honda to help her out. She got a job. She had gotten her GED, so she was going to college in Albuquerque at ITT Tech with my eldest brother, her son, Daniel. So she got an apartment. Me, her, and my brother JP moved in, and this was a nice apartment off of St. Francis, not even in the hood at all. She was working a job at Alfalfa's, like a Whole Foods market, so she was doing good. Slowly but surely, she slipped back into her drug addiction. Heroin. One day she totaled her car driving home from ITT Tech in Albuquerque. On her way home from school, she nodded off at the wheel, swerved into the other lane, and boom, went head on with the truck, flipped her car, totaled it. Me and my brother JP were with my grandpa at our Auntie Cocky's house, rest in peace Cocky. When we got the call that my mom had been in a serious accident, we jumped in the truck and flew over there. We didn't know if she was okay. We thought it was worse than it really was. They had her on a stretcher, loading her into the ambulance. She told us something, she loved us or something. Took her to the hospital. She turned out to be kind of okay. She was injured though. So I guess she had punctured her lungs and some kind of liquid was getting into her lungs. She had to wear these like bags on her feet. She was kind of fucked up and sick. Since she totaled her car, she could no longer go to school in Albuquerque no more. She slipped more into that drug addiction. And then she stopped going to work for whatever reason and she lost her job. She couldn't pay the rent, so we lost our apartment. So we moved back to the hood, to the west side, to the Santa Fe apartments. If you're familiar with Santa Fe, you guys know the Santa Fe apartments right at the end of Alto, right where Alto Park is, behind Alameda Middle School, the hood. My auntie had a little 1-bedroom apartment there, so we moved in with her. So it was me, my brother John Paul, my mom, and my auntie Donna. Well, my auntie liked to drink at the time, and she was always drunk and getting combative, fighting with my mom. And my mom would always get high on heroin, and she would like slur, and you would know when she was high. And her and my auntie would fight a lot, right? We didn't have a phone, by the way. They didn't have cell phones at the time. And we didn't have a house line put in because my auntie didn't pay the bill and she couldn't get a phone. So she was going to have my mom put in a phone under her name. So we were waiting for the phone people to come and they were expected the next morning at 8 o'clock. So my mom had to be up to talk to them so they could hook up the phone under her name. Well, that night, my mom and my auntie got into it sick. They threw chingazos. They got into a fight, a fist fight. They banged it out a little bit. Then my auntie left all drunk and mad. While my mom was in the room calming down, me and my brother did what we were doing, I don't remember. But we went to my mom's room later in the night and she was sitting on the bed. I still remember to this day how she was sitting. She was sitting on the bed writing a letter. Now I guess her favorite movie was Titanic, and at that time we had Titanic on VHS. We had a VCR and we had the double VHS thing of the Titanic. Well, my mom told me and my brother John Paul to go put on Titanic in the living room and that she would be there to watch it with us. She wanted to spend time with us, watch a movie. So me and my brother said okay. We went to the living room, we put on the movie and we started watching it. Well, while we were waiting for our mom, Titanic was boring to us. We were kids, we didn't understand nothing, so we fell asleep. The next morning, our Auntie Donna came in through the door and that's what woke us up. And we heard her washing up in the sink in the kitchen. She didn't want to wake up my mom in the room. She was washing up. She was kind of getting ready for the morning. While the people from the phone company came and they knocked on the door. So my auntie went to go get my mom and she knocked on the door. Priscilla, Priscilla. My mom didn't answer. So she opened the door to go wake her up. And we just heard my auntie scream. So we jumped out of bed and we ran to see what was going on. And my mom was just laying there. Same way she was sitting, but with her head face first in the mattress. She had a paper crumbled in her left hand and a pen in her right hand, and she was writing a letter. She died while writing a letter. My brother and my auntie went up to her and they tried to pick up her body, but it was stiff as a statue. And when they lifted up her head, as they lifted up, all kinds of stuff just started coming out of her nose, just all the bodily fluids. See, while her head was forward on the bed like that, it had been coagulating, so when they lifted her up, it just all started coming out. And I just remember my brother, when he realized that she was dead, like when it finally sunk in is what I mean, he just let go of her body and ran outside. And my brother was crazy, so I had to run outside after him and make sure that he wasn't trying to kill himself or just do anything crazy, because that's how he was. He was 15 and I was 14. Like I said, we didn't have a phone, so we had to go to our neighbor Geneva's house. Shout out to Geneva. She still comes through and visits my grandpa to this day. Well, we went to Geneva's house and we used her phone to call 911. The homegirl Bernadette, who was there, who is my age, 1 year older, she was John Paul's age. She came in and she seen my mom and she pulled the needle out of her arm. There was still a needle stuck in her arm and she put it right there on the dresser. Rest in peace to Jesse James. He just passed away. That's Bernadette's brother, and that's why I mentioned this. He used to always kick it with us back in those days because he lived right next to us. Anyway, so we called my grandpa and grandma. We called everybody. So my grandpa and grandma came. My grandma was at the door, and when she heard my mom died, she just fainted. That was the first time I ever seen my grandpa kind of cry. His eyes watered up and were dripping, but he was trying to stay strong for us and not cry. While they had us all gathered outside, and the cops and shit were inside the apartment for, I swear, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, hours. They were just in there doing their investigation before they finally rolled out with my mom in the body bag on the stretcher. And when that happened, my grandma ran up and unzipped it, and she was tying her, "Wake up, Priscilla, wake up." And my grandpa had to pull her away. Nah, she's gone, you know. They had counselors there trying to give me and my brother teddy bears. We're like, "Get this shit fucking out of my face." My grandpa even told them, "What the fuck's wrong with you guys? Get the fuck out of here." There was a little daycare that's right there with a fence, and all the little kids were playing in the playground, and they were all watching it, and they were just letting all the kids watch it. Well, when the cops came out and rolled her out, they came up to us and told us they don't know how she died. They said they couldn't find no evidence in the room to indicate how she died. So we let them go. Then we went into the house. We found a needle right on top of the dresser. It was still there. It was like half blood, half heroin. It was just there. I don't know how they didn't find it, searching for 4 hours. I don't know what they were doing. But that's when we found my mom dead. Then we moved back to my grandparents' house, back over there in the barrio. As for my dad, I never knew him. I thought I knew who he was for a lot of years, but I'm not sure if that's even him. My dad could be this guy. He could be 1 out of 3 people, honestly. But I think I might know who he is, but I'm really not sure. So I just want to throw that in there just in case people are wondering, well, what happened to your dad? I never knew my dad. My mom was on a mission my whole life, in and out of prison. And when she finally got out, did good. She only lasted a couple months. And then this happened. The teardrop I have right here, that stands for my mother. That represents my mother's memory. The other one represents my brother who got stabbed in the neck. I'll tell that story on a future date. I just wanted to start to tell stories of my life little by little, so people could start to understand who I am, so they know I'm not just some little kid up here talking that don't know what I'm talking about.